We all do it, right? Scrolling, reading, talking, and while feeling like we're putting out these really unique personal thoughts, our own opinions.
That feeling of originality.
Exactly. But here's the question we're digging into today, and it's a bit unsettling, perhaps. Are those thoughts really ours? Do we genuinely have these personal opinions, or are we mostly just echoing?
Echoing what we picked up along the way.
Yeah. So our deep dive today is going to unpack that whole idea of a personal opinion. We're using insights from this really thought-provoking piece, Are We Thinking, or just Echoing?
Right.
And the mission really is to see if we can uncover some maybe surprising truths about how our thoughts get formed and what real independent thinking actually involves.
That's a fascinating area. Definitely makes you question things.
Totally. It might make us question a lot about our own minds. So the article starts with this idea that, honestly, it kind of stopped me in my tracks. It says what feels like my perspective, that take we're proud of. It calls it a pre-selected script.
Wow. Okay, a script.
Yeah, like thought itself, much like language. It's something we inherit first, we absorb it, and then we perform it, maybe with a lot of conviction.
Before we ever feel like we're creating it ourselves.
Exactly. That's a really powerful idea. So what does the piece say shapes these scripts we end up absorbing?
Well, it's a really compelling argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not abstract. The source points directly to, basically everything around us.
Like what specifically?
Our environment, obviously. The media we're constantly consuming.
Yeah.
Our social circles, the people we talk to. And this is crucial today, the algorithms, the ones that are basically curating our intellectual reality online.
Right, feeding us stuff.
They're all feeding us these ready-made ideas. It's almost like you said, a script or maybe a mental buffet we pick from without realizing it. It really pushes back against that idea that our thoughts just spring up, totally fresh from inside us.
Untouched.
And the core takeaway the author really wants us to grapple with is pretty stark. It's thinking is rare. Repetition is everywhere.
Oof. Thinking is rare. That really makes you pause, doesn't it?
It does.
How much actual original thought are we doing day to day if repetition is the norm?
That's the question.
So, okay, if we're absorbing and repeating so much, where does this show up most obviously? Especially like on social media where everyone has to have an opinion on everything instantly.
Yeah. That's exactly where the article shifts focus. It talks about the opinion economy.
The opinion economy. Tell me more.
In this kind of environment, opinions aren't just thoughts. They're like currency.
Currency, okay.
Yeah, they're expected, they're performed, and importantly, they get rewarded. You feel this pressure, right? You have to have take.
Oh, totally. On everything. Now.
Whether you actually thought it through or not.
Yeah.
And the piece breaks down the mechanics of this economy.
How does it work?
It highlights things like the faster you respond, the smarter you seem.
Right. Quick reactions get likes.
Exactly. And the more confident your tone, the more credible your view appears. Even if the confidence isn't, backed by deep understanding.
Performative confidence.
And maybe the biggest one. The more aligned you are with your group, the more accepted you become. Fitting in.
That sounds exhausting. This constant pressure to perform opinions.
It is. And the consequence, as the article lays it out, is pretty profound.
Which is?
Thinking itself. Actual deep thinking, it becomes a liability.
A liability? How so?
Because it's too slow, too uncertain, too complex. It doesn't fit the model.
So what wins instead?
What wins is reactivity dressed as reasoning. That quick, confident statement that sounds like a considered opinion, but is often just a reaction.
Not a thoughtful exploration, just a fast take. What is it about real thinking that makes it such a roadblock in this opinion economy?
Well, it's fundamentally about the pace and the social pressure, isn't it?
Oh.
Real thinking needs time. It needs a willingness to be unsure, to sit with complexity. And all of that is the exact opposite of the instant declarative vibe of the opinion economy.
Right. Slow is bad, uncertain is weak.
Exactly. So when the rewards go to speed and fitting in deep individual thought, it just becomes a disadvantage.
Okay, so that paints a clear picture of the performance opinion, but what does this deep dive say a real personal opinion isn't?
Right. It makes that distinction very clear.
It's not just repeating what you heard.
No. It's not what you've been told to believe. It's not what you repeat just because it sounds clever or makes you fit in.
Or makes you seem informed.
Precisely. It's not adopted just to belong. That distinction really cuts through a lot of noise, I think.
It really does. But I'm wondering, can an opinion that starts as absorbed ever become, through genuine effort, become a real one? Or is the line always super clear?
That's a great question. The article suggests the initial distinction is pretty stark, yeah. But personal effort can transform it. It defines a true opinion primarily as the product of cognitive effort.
Cognitive effort, okay, like actual mental work.
Yes, it's shaped by listening before speaking. That's key.
Listening first.
And it's grounded in curiosity, contradiction, and internal debate. You wrestle with it.
So it doesn't just pop out fully formed.
No, it emerges not in reaction, but in reflection. And interestingly, the piece notes it's often quietly confident, not loud or showy.
Quieter confidence. I like that.
But to even get there, to start forming those kinds of opinions, the authors stress that we first have to become aware of what we've absorbed unconsciously. We need to see the script first.
That awareness piece feels critical, recognizing the unconscious absorption. And that leads right into another big distinction the source makes, doesn't it? Are we thinking or are we just editing?
Exactly. Editing. I thought that was such a sharp way to put it.
Me too. The idea that a lot of what passes for thought is really just selecting from a menu of pre-existing ideas.
Yeah, choosing the ones that fit our identity or our group or maybe just our aesthetic.
Right. But the text is really clear. Editing is not thinking. That lands hard.
It really does.
Yeah.
Because it points to a fundamentally different mental activity. And according to the piece, this is where the real work starts.
Okay.
True thinking begins when we step beyond the ready-made.
And what does that look like, practically speaking?
Well, it means doing things like intentionally pausing before you just agree with something.
Resisting the knee-jerk agreement.
Yes, and daring to doubt things that, flatter our own existing beliefs. That's tough.
Very, very tough.
And maybe the toughest. Resisting that immediate urge to speak. Choosing instead to just listen longer. Even listening to our own thoughts more carefully before voicing them.
So in this age where, as the article puts it, performance replaces presence, real thinking is framed as an act of rebellion.
I love that framing. Rebellion.
It's described as uncomfortable, slow, lonely, but also deeply human. It acknowledges the difficulty, but also the value, the authenticity in it.
Absolutely. It's not easy, but it's worthwhile. And to kind of rediscover this art of thinking, the piece gives some core ideas.
Like what?
Like valuing questions more than just having fixed stances. Choosing depth deliberately over speed.
Depth over speed.
And this is interesting. Suspending your identity sometimes just to let the truth, whatever it might be, emerge without being filtered by who you think you are or who you want to be.
Suspending identity. Wow, that's a challenge.
It is. And then it leaves us with these really sharp questions to ask ourselves.
What are they?
Questions like, is this truly what I believe or what I've absorbed? Or do I understand this? Or just repeat it convincingly?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And maybe the most direct, am I thinking or just trying to sound like someone who is?
Those are questions to sit with. So let's circle back then to where we started. Do we actually have personal opinions? What's the article's final take?
The conclusion is quite striking. It basically says, we do, but far fewer than we claim.
Far fewer. Ouch.
Yeah. Most of what we say, most of what gets labeled our opinion, is actually, according to this source, learned, echoed, and recycled.
Learned, echoed, recycled. It sounds a bit bleak.
You might think so initially, but it's actually not presented as like a failure. It's framed very differently.
I know so.
As an opportunity, a really profound one. The piece suggests that once we realize how much we've borrowed, once we see the scripts, we can finally begin to build authentically, consciously, originally.
Ah, I see. So realizing the echo is the first step to finding your actual voice.
Exactly. It's acknowledging the starting point, which then maybe ironically empowers you to move beyond it. It illuminates a path forward.
That's actually quite hopeful in a way, an opportunity to build something real. Which leads us, I guess, to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over after this deep dive. If you do start consciously trying to build your opinions more authentically, more originally, stepping away from just echoing, what might that actually change?
Good question.
Yeah, what could that mean for your everyday conversations, for how you make decisions, or even just how you see and interact with the world around you? It's something to think about.